Hello everyone, today is going to be quite an easy video. Should we buy a lithium battery or should we buy a lead acid battery? And just to keep things short, you should buy a lithium battery. Thank you. But of course, if you want to know more details, please stay with me, please subscribe, thumbs up and all that kind of stuff, because you're going to learn a lot of important information today. My name is Michael Jedwak and I'm the host of Van University, where you can learn everything you need to know about camper van conversions. So please stay with me. So this is the typical question that just goes around all the Facebook groups, all the forums, everywhere. Should I buy this one, which is a lithium battery, or should I buy this one, which is a lead acid battery? And actually, for many people, the choice is not so obvious, but for those people like me and you in a couple of minutes, the choice is going to be absolutely clear. You should choose lithium batteries because they are cheaper, for example. You don't believe it? But you will. Okay, let's start with the basics. Weight. Weight is the first thing we're going to discuss. Yeah, as you can probably see, this thing is quite smaller and it's really heavy. I wasn't really exaggerating it. This thing has 92 amp hours, not even 100 amp hours, 92 amp hours, and it's a lot of lead inside. This is 300 amp hours, and it was probably half the weight of this one, of the lead acid battery. So even if we compare it, assuming this is 100, this is 300, and it weighs half of it, or maybe 70%, it's like a few times lighter, maybe 3-4 times lighter per amp hour. So 1 point goes for the lithium batteries. The second thing is size. Well, this is also obvious. You can see 96 amp hours, 300 amp hours. They are more or less the same thickness, more or less, but this one is like a little bit taller, but I know from experience that like usually 30% of the box is empty because they want to conform to certain standard box sizes. And I know that if we treat this battery as if we try to compress everything as much as possible into one box, that thing will be more or less the same size. So we have 3 times the capacity, but more or less the same size or a tiny bit bigger. So the second point goes for the lithium batteries. Fumes. This one needs to be ventilated. We have a vent over here because lead acid batteries sometimes release dangerous gases. Those gases are dangerous because they are not too good to breathe for you, not good for your health, and they're also dangerous because they are explosive. So, I mean, let's not get crazy. Yeah? In normal use scenarios, when this battery is being slowly discharged by whatever, your LED lights or something, nothing is going to happen. You can keep it inside. In practice, not in theory. But there might be some circumstances where this battery gets a deep discharge and then it's being charged with high power from your alternator or from your solar panels. And this is when the electrolyte starts boiling, cooking, and releasing gases, and this is when it might become dangerous. In practice, probably you will not have any problems, but in theory, just to comply with all the safety blah 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 regulations, those release toxic fumes and should always be vented to the outside. That's why they have those vent holes on their sides, and you should use like a tiny PVC hose and just drill a hole in the floor, blah blah blah, etc., to make sure it doesn't vent inside your camper van. So and this battery doesn't need anything. It doesn't vent, it doesn't release any gases, so it's much safer. So in the fume department, 1 point again for the lithium battery. And now the most important thing for me, capacity, usable capacity. So we have 100 more or less against 300 in the same more or less form factor, but those almost 100 amp hours are not 100% usable. You will not be able to use all those 92 amp hours because this battery will degrade really fast and at around more or less 50%, sometimes less, sometimes more. So in general, out of a lead acid battery, you get, let's assume, 60% of the rated capacity. So this battery has probably around 50 amp hours instead of having 92. While lithium batteries, they have 100% of their declared capacity. So if you connect a shunt, or in more normal terms, a power meter, you can discharge all the 300 amp hours from this battery. So you really get 100% of what you pay for. Not surprisingly, 1 more point for the lithium battery. Okay, now let's talk about safety. This battery does not have any safety circuits inside. It's just the cells and the terminals. So if we short this battery, the positive and the negative terminal, if we short them together, there's going to be sparks. If the thing that shorted against those terminals is like a lot of metal, it will just heat until it gets red hot. It will probably melt. It will create a fire. If not, the battery is going to boil. It will also disintegrate, etc., etc., etc. So in terms of safety, there is no safety in lead acid batteries. On the contrary, lithium batteries, they have something which is called BMS, battery management system, which is something that controls the way the battery is being charged, the way the battery is being discharged, and it makes also sure that each of the 4 cells this 12-volt battery has, that each of those 4 cells has the same charge, state of charge, let's say, the same voltage, the same state of charge, to be more specific. If we decide to short those 2 terminals together, of course there's going to be a spark, but it's only going to be 1 spark and this battery will shut down automatically. If you connect too much of a power draw to this battery, too many power sources, too big of a load, this battery will, once it reaches its safety limits, it will shut down. If we leave something connected to this battery for a long period of time, the lithium battery will not recharge to 0 and will not damage its cells inside. It will just recharge to a safe level and will shut down. The same with overcharging. Even like 3 days ago, I connected one of those batteries, the lead acid batteries, to one of my really high power chargers, and for some reason the charger did not decrease the amperage and the battery literally started boiling and there was acid flowing through the vent holes. I mean, I'm okay, as you can see, yeah, but this is dangerous to charge and to discharge, while this has the BMS, which controls everything. So in terms of safety, 1 more point for the lithium batteries. And now something many people don't know about: charge efficiency. As we know, the world is built in such a way that you never have 100% efficiency. So when you pull something, you need to put more energy to restore it. So in this case, for example, when you pull those 100 amp hours or 50 amp hours, let's say 50 amp hours, if you apply 50 amp hours towards the battery, it will not return to its previous state. It needs more power to be recharged than it gives you when you discharge it. So it doesn't have 100% charge efficiency. You need to recharge it a little bit more to get the same results. Of course, lithium batteries don't have 100% efficiency either, but they are closer to 100%. I don't know exactly how much it's going to be. Is it going to be 80, 90, 85? I don't know. But normally, in a normal case scenario, if you pull 100 amp hours of energy, you need, for example, to give it 100 and some change of energy to return it to its previous state. So they are more efficient while charging. This one, not so much. And as I'm repeating myself, another point goes to the lithium battery. And now let's talk about longevity. Normally, those batteries, as you know, in practice, they are dead after around maybe 3 years, maybe 4 if you're lucky, sometimes 2, sometimes 1. Walmart customers can relate, yeah. In general, those batteries used to be built much better some 20 years ago. And I remember, for example, Land Cruisers imported from Japan and already being 10 years old, and they still had the original factory battery. And when it went dead after 10 years, you replaced it with another one, and this another one would live only 2 or 3 years. So the longevity of those lead acid batteries is going down, simply because probably manufacturing costs are going up, so they are just cutting corners somehow. So longevity, let's assume it's 3 years, and it's usually dead, like zero battery. While in the case of lithium batteries, it is around 10 years, but after 10 years, the battery is not going to be dead. After 10 years, the battery is going to lose 20% of its capacity, maybe 30%, because there's a difference between theory and practice, yeah? Those batteries are still too young for us to determine the real numbers we'll be facing, but in a few years we're going to know if they degrade a lot or maybe not as much as expected. But usually it's assumed that after around 10,000 full cycles, sometimes 6,000, sometimes more, whatever, after around 10 years, this battery will have 80% of its capacity, so it's still going to be a really good usable product. So we're comparing 2-3 years and dead against 10 years and still usable. Not surprisingly, another point for the lithium battery. And now let's go to the main issue, to the most important point, which is usually the starting point of all our conversations about batteries and everywhere. It's the price. These used to be very expensive, and the cheaper models used to be very bad quality. But as of today, this battery is more expensive. For example, you can buy a 100 amp hour lithium battery for around $160, and you can buy a 100 amp hour lead acid battery for also around $160. But of course, we know that you get only half of the capacity of the rated capacity. So you need to buy 2 of the lead acid batteries to equal this one lithium battery. So now I can say, and I'm dead serious, that lithium batteries are 2 times cheaper than lead acid batteries. And we should also add one thing we already know is the usable life of those batteries. So by the time you need to replace this battery, assuming maybe 10 years, you will probably need to replace the lead acid batteries 2 or 3 times. So if we calculate everything, this lithium battery is probably 3 or 4 or maybe 5 times cheaper than a lead acid battery. So the conclusion is pretty clear for me. Lithium batteries are better. Thank you very much. See you next time.